Yo, everybody, what's going on? It is I, the Loaf King. Welcome back to the Lunchbox. Today, I am here with my fellow co-hosts, Cadre Bandit, Zemis, and Magic Lunchbox. Go ahead and say hey, everyone.
Hey,
Yo.
everyone.
Joe had to be
Not,
different.
not even like a word from Joe. Just
I'll take it.
There's the minimum right there, Sean. I want to see that minimum.
But today we are doing a discussion video slash, I guess, review. Speaking on Sonic Frontiers and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. As they're games that we kind of played heavy enough into that we felt that we can give our opinions in separate instances, because obviously me and Zemus played Frontiers a lot. Y'all know that based off of the views I see on the channel. But if you also was paying attention to our streams, we also did a lot of Pokemon, the whole crew, being Cadre Bandit and Magic Lunchbox. So yeah, that's pretty much what the plan here is, and we're just gonna dive straight into it. And of course, I want to go ahead and get the one that I can give the most info about, which would be Sonic Frontiers. So, without further ado, let me start off by saying I have been a Sonic fan for many years, and since I was like 3, I was introduced to the series. I have always knew about this Blue Needle Mouse, and
Blue Needle Mouse.
Blue Needle Mouse, baby.
I never faltered when it came to playing any of these games. But that said, I never was blind to the shortcomings that some of the 2D and 3D games had throughout this timeline, which is Sonic. So I'm gonna try and
Sound like a Hall of Fame speech.
which, giving my perspective, I'm a little bit closer to, I think, the middle ground of my household was Nintendo, so I didn't play a lot of Sega stuff. The few times I tried 2D Sonic back in the day, I hated it. It felt like I'm just trying to memorize a level to do any kind of speed, and it was work. The first Sonic game I enjoyed was Adventure Battle 2 when it came to GameCube, because apparently that's the best version, so I'm told.
I mean, majority of the fan base enjoyed Sonic
Agrees with
Adventure
it,
2
yeah.
the most.
Now you're talking about the GameCube version
The
specifically.
GameCube version of that being the best one.
Oh,
Other than that, I've played Secret Rings, which I did enjoy, and Black Knight, which was trash, and I think that's it, other than getting to Frontiers.
and I think for Cadre and Joe, they're more in the lower section in terms of how many Sonic games they've played like that. They pretty much have experience based off watching me playing for the most part, and I guess
I played the original 2D ones, and I played Adventure 2, then played Adventure 1. I played Sonic Mania. I played had the Sonic collection with all the pinball shit.
He raised all of his chow to kickbox each other.
Yeah, and race, and climb, and fly, and all, all that good stuff.
fair
Yeah,
enough. Yeah.
I didn't go out my way to play Sonic Advance and shit like that. No.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't know, was I wrong on you, Cadre?
Oh, no, yeah, you hit me
Right.
right on the head. I probably played one Sonic game in my entire life. Like, if you mean playing it as in played it for more than 5 minutes, or played it to actually achieve something in the game, beat it, whatever you want to say.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say 5
One
minutes.
game.
But yeah.
One game. Yeah, because like Sonic to me, it wasn't to like how Zima said it. To be honest, a lot of it just felt like work. And if it's just going to be more of a racing timeline type, like time limit type game, I didn't like time attack games growing up. I didn't like feeling like I have to do this in 30 seconds or it just won't get done. which Sonic may not have been exactly like that. You know, you got like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, things like that. I just didn't like any type of time parameter on me, period.
Yeah.
So that's why it wasn't really
Other aspect is the lack of saving, that you have to complete it in one go. Back in those days, it was
I didn't even think about that.
That's one of those games that without save files, no.
I didn't even think about that because I played Mario. And it's kind of the same thing. You're going through. If you go through and you fuck up halfway through the level, you go back. You start over.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until like their third games that they actually applied some saving feature for both Sonic and Mario. So I can understand that. Sonic 3, they actually did let you make save files.
The big thing with Mario is they didn't have save files until I think Super Nintendo, but they had items that let you skip whole worlds potentially.
That is
I've
true,
already beaten this level. I'm just gonna skip it now for my next playthrough because it doesn't matter.
There was definitely no skips for Sonic, so yeah. That is.
And especially if you fucked up getting the Chaos Emerald too many times, it's like, well, now I can't even get the correct ending too.
The true endings, yeah. So they definitely pushed you.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess we can hop into the story. I'll go ahead and speed up the whole concept of it. Basically, how the game starts off, Frontiers, is that Eggman is up to it again, trying to harness some type of ancient power or technology to go ahead and screw up Sonic. And he comes across a group called the Ancients, and he's discovering how to use the technology. And they don't really give us too much on what exactly his tech is doing, but we do know that his tech is supposed to be Sage, an AI who actually fuses with the ancient technology after Eggman placing it on the what seems to be some type of pedestal. And sure enough, it seems like it's working. He's taking control of the technology, but something goes wrong and he basically gets sucked into cyberspace. And then we're just
digital
left.
World.
Yes, digital world. The actual words is cyberspace. So.
I know, but I'm saying he woke up and said, we're in a digital world. He woke up. And
not even 3 seconds, like, I know exactly what's going on. Huh. Quaint.
But in
Like,
fact,
I love that delivery. That felt like the genius Eggman. Like, yeah, I know what the fuck's going down.
yeah, Eggman has he has some really strong. There's some good acting going on for him in this game. I'll leave it at that. But
yeah, voice acting is on point on this one.
yeah, I'm a little stepping ahead, but I really do like Sonic's voice in this, and I'll get to that in a sec. But first, if we jump back, Sonic and the others, being Sonic, Tails, and Amy, they end up heading out to find the Chaos Emeralds to keep them away from Eggman, and basically they get sucked into this void randomly, some type of cyber vortex,
wormhole or something,
or something like that. And then Sonic just drops into this area that looks like Green Hill, but it's not. Lo and behold, it's Green Hill. I'm tired of seeing Green Hill, but at the same time, I understand that later on it's explained that it's supposed to be pulling from Sonic's memories. So that's why it's formed that way, so that Sonic can actually traverse and authenticate everything that's around him and be able to function in the cyberspace world. So he goes through there, gets out of it, and then he realizes he's the only one that made it at the end of that, and a voice starts speaking to him. He decides to listen to the voice that's saying for him to collect all the Chaos Emeralds and break the what is the void, or the
alarm. Sound the alarm shatter me like glass.
Basic,
Bring
basically,
me along.
sure.
But I'll be damned if I see another chip on your arm.
Basically, hey, if you want to free your friends, you have to do this. It'll free all of us.
Yeah.
Go do it. Which, if you've played more than I'd say 3 games, video games, or plot lines in your life, you'd realize this isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
This guy is definitely the bad guy,
Yeah.
or at least bad guy adjacent.
But to be fair, Sonic actually does realize
It.
that
Yeah.
that's going on.
It's more he's so confident that it's like, yeah, this is the path to get my friends out, and then I'll deal with the aftermath once it happens.
Pretty much, yeah. So you go through each island, saving each character. The characters that you save are supposed to be, of course, Amy and Tails that were there, but also you come across Knuckles, who actually got there before any of them, and we actually got like a little, what was it, like a type of not a trailer, but like a prologue.
Sort of like an OVA type of short episode prior of he was basically wandering around his lands, for lack of a better term, found effectively the same type of monolith that Eggman was using, I presume based on where he found it versus what was in the cutscene for Eggman messing with it, that they were 2 separate ones, which does mean that these are around the world, effectively in different places. But
Yeah.
he gets sucked in sort of like Eggman did.
Correct. And yeah, throughout this whole process of Sonic trying to save them, he's running into this character called Sage, which we mentioned before is the AI, who actually was made into a full form, and she's impeding Sonic on doing so, telling him to just leave. She seems like at first that she's not trying to necessarily hurt or kill Sonic, more so trying to get him away.
She just seems to be depressed in the beginning. Like, you're screwed, so just stop.
Oh yeah, she's constantly comparing numbers to the whole basis of if Sonic can like fix anything, and so she's just trying to come up with her own ideas and methods.
And Sonic effectively just says, never tell me the numbers, and keeps going.
Yeah. So that's pretty much like the basis of what the story. The odds.
Yeah. She was telling him the odds, the probability of her succeeding.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how the story goes. There's also these Titans that also show up that are basically guarding the islands, and you have to defeat them in order to save each character. So as we're going through this, there's also these creatures called Coco that apparently have a connection to the ancients that are part of the island, and essentially they seem to be like the spirits, or like whatever information that was left about the ancients was just poured into them, and they function like Lucky Charms and stuff like that. I don't really understand the whole Lucky Charm aspect. I don't know if Demus, you have a better idea.
My understanding is when the ancients were around, the Coco's form was more like what you would have on your keychain of a Lucky Charm. And then when the ancients effectively kind of self-destructed the events that occurred, their memories or spirits or whatever mythos you kind of want to structure that into kind of inhabited or moved into the Cocos, combining them with the digital space.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I took it.
Now, that's pretty much the idea I had as well. And basically you're learning more about the ancients as you're going throughout the game, and the characters are also Sonic Tails and Amy and all of them are all basically experiencing this in different ways that affect their own views on how they look at life and how they deal with it. It seems like there's like a kind of theme of death in this and acceptance that is going on, but at the same time it's correlating to like what each character also stands by,
insecurities and whatnot too.
Because like with Amy, it's all about love for her and how it's like everlasting despite the situation,
but also giving enough space to people as well.
Exactly.
We've seen Amy be overly needy prior. This is a much more mature, I don't need to be here all the times type of mindset.
Yeah, not as infatuated with Sonic as normally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people actually enjoyed. I mean, if we're talking just us, I think everyone didn't have really an issue with Sonic's voice. What about you?
Yeah, all the voices I thought there were no voices that I went, that sounds really bad, that delivery is really bad, nor was there any like that shouldn't be so and so. None of those happened. Everything seemed like it fit and clicked.
Rounded, even. I don't know. Do you feel the same way, Magic?
Yeah, I told you Sonic sounded like a fucking adult. Or not like a little kid, or at the very least, someone who, matured a little bit, not some wise ass guy. You can't catch me! That guy.
He still had the smarmy smugness, but it was more like Joe's smugness of, yeah, I can be an adult about it, but I'm still gonna call you out.
I can be an adult about it, but I won't.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it was a maturity. Like, sure, he still was cocky on it, but like I said, it was a mature
but that's part of his character
tone to his voice. Yeah, like I said, that's fine. But yeah, he didn't seem like a little kid.
Yeah. Did you feel the same way, Cadre? For the most of just the tiny pieces that you've heard.
So I remember a robotic sounding Sonic voice on the 2-bit. So yeah, it sounded better than that. Definitely give you that one for sure.
You like how he had more animations than just like tapping his foot waiting for you?
Man, what you know about that? That's back in the day. All right. It's the only other thing that I wish that there was more of was I wish that he had asked for more chili dogs throughout his performance in this game.
Man.
That's about it.
That should be the next game. It's not 7 Chaos Emeralds, it's 7 chili dogs.
Yes, 7
chili dogs of power.
Ooh.
Funny enough, you get more of the chili dog talk in Prime, but that's a whole nother discussion. Since we spoke about Amy, though, what about Knuckles? How did you feel about Knuckles, Zemus?
For me, my background for Knuckles is basically just Sonic Adventure 2. I've not really seen him anywhere else other than the small bits I watched you stream. So, as he himself, I've only known him as, I gotta protect the Master Emerald. Completely one-minded, one-dimensional personality, nothing to really go on.
Hard-headed.
This pulled him away from that a little bit on, you know what, maybe it would be okay if I explored the world a little more, learned more. And so he does have character growth that I think is much needed from my perspective. I think all of them had character growth that was much needed, honestly.
Definitely. Joe?
I like it when Knuckles doesn't sound fucking retarded.
Agreed.
It doesn't sound super dumb. So, all the installments of Knuckles that don't sound super dumb is fine with me. Like I said, he sounded fine. I don't think it was stand out or anything like that, but
yeah,
sounded good.
He didn't like blow my mind when I heard him, but I think it's I think like with most of these characters, it's the line delivery, the way how they portray themselves without like being so over exaggerated really helps the character become more believable.
I do feel like the bro moments between him and Sonic were a little on the forced side.
Yeah,
But it was acceptable, not it wasn't good quality, but it was okay quality. And like I said, the bar for me on Knuckles wasn't high.
the fan base is having a fun time. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked that we actually dove deeper into Knuckles in terms of like his inner thoughts of, you know, he's alone, even though he's really not, but just like that, pretty much as far as he knows, he's the last of his race, and like he's been guarding this stuff for so long, but with little to no answers on the questions that he has. And like now that he finally like finds something that can like give him a little more information, the situation where there was like some enemies that were about to like destroy it, like an altar that was giving more information. He was like, what's the right word for this? He felt vulnerable to the situation, because normally he's just like, screw it, I'll just like punch it in the face.
Just punch it and it'll be fine.
Yeah, but like in this moment,
not working.
He's actually like, worried and like concerned that he can't like protect what he might find as the only information he'll ever get on his past. So I really appreciate that they dove into that with him. So and
yeah, they showed more facets of his personality.
Yes, because Knuckles has always been tough, and always, he has like responsibility to what he wants to uphold, and you can appreciate that about him, but you never really got much else besides that in terms of like what he's truly thinking, besides just I need to protect the Master Emerald and nothing else. So yeah, I was glad that we got to see that, and I hope we get even more of that, honestly. But yeah, Kadri, were you even there to see or hear Knuckles?
No, I actually never saw Knuckles.
Okay,
I was fine. Throughout this time watching videos of you and the gameplay and everything like that, and I will say that beyond everything else, the gameplay and the puzzle creation for this game was absolutely gorgeous. Like, most definitely.
Oh yeah. I think the only other character that left that I wanted to speak on was Tails.
Not big. Not big.
We'll get to big when we see the gameplay portion. Not yet. Big is something for sure. Yeah, Tails. Tails has been a character that was always like the sidekick to Sonic, but but the thing that I was trying to explain, especially to y'all, was that Tails was showing progression in him not necessarily having to rely on Sonic all the time for everything. He actually would do things on his own as the games progress. Even if you look back to Sonic Adventure 2, y'all didn't really get to see much with Sonic Adventure because we're still doing that playthrough. Spoiler alert, I guess no one's seen that. But yeah, Tails has done like a lot of feats without Sonic before. Like Adventure was supposed to be the game where he started to truly realize what he is capable of, and then Adventure 2, like he's literally the one that saved Sonic, like from the prison and stuff.
I think it's a good way to summarize it is actually in Frontiers, one of Eggman's quotes was something to the effect of, I'm glad that Tails has such low self-esteem and is attached to Sonic because he would be a massive threat otherwise.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see he might not be so connected to the hip anymore.
Yeah, especially by the end of it, because for those that have like played the past Sonic games, in Forces, he really like diminished. They really like straight up diminished his character, back down to like ground zero, where he basically panicked in a situation where there was a monster in front of him, and he, instead of like trying to like use any of his gadgets or like try to fight or anything like that, think of anything, he instead turns around, crouches on his knees, and just cowers in the corner and stuff, screaming for Sonic to save him, even though Sonic is supposed to be dead in Forces, supposedly, or like captured and stuff. So like it was just like, it was such a switch up on the character, and there was like nothing
They
that
didn't
like
have good build up on justification of why this should happen.
exactly, which I'm glad they go ahead and speak about in this game, because there's a scene where Sonic and Tails are talking, and basically Tails is speaking about how he's way too inconsistent on how he's handling certain scenarios and stuff, and basically Sonic speaks out on him, like it's not like you aren't capable of doing these things, and it's okay at times to need help, but that doesn't mean that you're not capable of growing yourself, if you're putting the time and effort in to be a better and bigger person and stuff. So basically he basically helps Tails like come to the realization it's okay that you messed up at times, but what matters is that you can get back up and do even better the next time. So I really appreciated what they were like trying to get at, and how they didn't just try to like scratch it off and be like, no, Tails was never like that. Tails is already like that. No, they actually are trying to like make it be that he
They're
builds
trying to
into
incorporate all of the lore, even if it's not
Good lord.
the same vision that they want.
yeah.
Like,
Or
not scratching
better.
it off, like going, hey, that didn't exist because that makes it more complicated to do the thing we want to do.
But
Disney! Sorry.
And
Yet
we've
another
been canceled.
Joe, did you didn't really get to see Tails for this, did you? For the Frontiers.
I saw him. I didn't know about Tails and Forces at all, so the whole cowering thing I never saw. So Tails just seemed, like Tails. I mean,
Okay. Fair
never
enough.
saw. Yeah, I didn't.
I didn't know
saw
about the
that.
cowering thing either. But I felt like he's inconsistent on. He supposedly has enough speed to match Sonic to keep up with him. He can fly himself. He has all of the Eggman gadgets effectively. Like, he should be able to solve basically any problem by himself. All he's lacking is the confidence to do so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas Sonic honestly does not have a very good skill set. He just has so much confidence that it's like, I'm just gonna speed through and figure it out.
Yeah. He doesn't let any bad thoughts hold him back from moving. He stays on the move. But
Fast.
yeah. That's pretty much the gist of the story and how everything flows. By the end of it, Eggman is the whole time that you're going through the story. Eggman is trapped in cyberspace, but he's speaking to Sage throughout it, and like he basically builds a relationship with Sage. But like I can't really speak on that until we actually go to the gameplay. So I'll just leave it short as
lore-wise, it's basically father-daughter, or grows into father-daughter.
yeah.
And whereas all of Sonic's friends were trapped in cyberspace, Sonic sort of frees them, but they're still trapped. But they can move around, like in a ghost form, if you will. Eggman is stuck in cyberspace, and it's Sage that's keeping him safe and autonomous, basically.
Yeah. and during this time, we don't have like an actual time in which how long Eggman's been there, but it seems like as time progresses, he builds that father-daughter relationship even more with her, and realizing how much like he actually does care for her.
Yeah, because at first she's a
versions.
program dismissing any sort of affection, and then starts going, well, no, I actually do care, and you know what, fuck it. Anybody can biologically have kids. It takes a genius to make a kid from code.
Yeah, that was actually a quote from the game itself.
Yep.
With one of the members.
Paraphrased a little, I'm sure, but basically.
But yeah, you can pretty much have an idea of how the game went as you get through to the end and such. And yeah, in terms of the story, I was very pleased with this is probably the best Sonic game I think that's been out narratively, with how they portrayed the characters. And I enjoy the darker tones of Sonic stories. They don't have to be like to the point of Shadow the Hedgehog necessarily, but
I got a gun, man. I've got a gun.
That gun is not gonna help you through all your troubles.
Oh man.
But yeah, I just like that they went back to this type of style, and how they can tell a compelling story. While I know this is a kid's game, but at the same time, just because it's a kid's game doesn't mean that you can't tell meaningful stories or like have something that's like showcasing.
The Saturday morning cartoons back in the day had plenty of innuendos that just completely went over kids' heads. They did not know what was going on, and now we watch them and go, shit, they did that in Batman? Damn.
So they got away with it?
Nah, not in Batman. Man, we knew what was going on in Batman. That's Bruce Wayne. Brother, that's Bruce Wayne.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. All I would really want to say right now about the story. Maybe in a future video I'll like talk more on it, but let's just hop to the bread and butter, the gameplay. Zemus, did you want to start on how you felt?
So, baseline cyberspace levels, they had great polish on them, and they were short enough that, at least for me, for the as I said before, I hated I have to memorize this level to be able to beat it. It felt like I could reasonably beat any level, except for 1, 2. Any level like the first time through, and potentially even do a perfect run. After like 2 or 3 tries, I can oftentimes get the perfect. And then there were a couple thrown in there that were hard enough that it was, you really do need to have it's the difficulty spike, and this should be a good challenge for somebody who's better at the game. That said, that's the 2D side of things. Frontiers is supposed to be more of a 3D game.
Yeah.
And from the 3D aspect, the first 2 levels were very polished, I thought. I enjoyed those. The last island, I thought, was more of those, just kind of copy and pasted almost. Like, okay, we did this was the simple version of the puzzle in Island 1, here's the hard version of the puzzle in the final island. And so they just kind of upped the ante on all those. Island 3, though, is where I take issue. There's
a lot of people.
It felt like there was a lot less to do. The overworld itself would consistently snap you into the 2D mode that I hated on the 3D world, without any sort of button to go, hey, I would like to go left now into the background where I was actually trying to run. No, you want to go right. Okay, sure, I guess. And the other aspect there also felt like there were a lot more. I don't know if they were more hidden, like they blended into the terrain more. But it felt like there were a bunch of rocks that I'm just running, and all of a sudden I just skyrocket off on a weird angle and lose all functioning control of my character.
Yes. That definitely is something that I don't think they intentionally meant to make it function that way. I think they wanted it to be more so that the little rocks and stuff that you may like run into, you can like take advantage of to like propel yourself through the air as if you was going off of a
I don't
ramp.
think there was. I'm talking about just a regular rock, not like it's not shaped like a ramp of any sort.
Yeah, I know.
It was. Oh, okay.
Well, it's kind of hard because like I guess I'm going off of aspects of like the past games that they were kind of trying to pull from. Because in Sonic Adventure, there's like different things that you can like just boot. You can move real quick by charging up a spin dash. In this case, in Frontiers, it's a boost, but you do a spin dash and then like you can just launch yourself in a direction to like bypass a lot of different things in the stage. But for that state island that you're talking about, there definitely was a bit too much there, and it was impeding more than assisting in the directions that you'd want to go. So I can understand that.
That's the biggest thing is on the third island it felt like things were getting in my way more so than there are places to go and this is just a place like on this side. I guess it was more cramped. It felt more cramped on that island now that I think about it. Like the desert felt like there were decent sized chunks where I can just kind of go around this thing or whatnot.
It was more open-ended also because for the third island you are essentially locked to whichever area that you're in on the island, but if you wanted to go to like another bigger island that you saw further off in the distance,
there wasn't one path you can take basically. Exactly. And that's it.
Yeah, and when you've played the other two islands, it's a complete change from what you're used to, from what you've played up to that point. So,
like in the desert, there was a specific. I wasn't supposed to get to this Chaos Emerald yet. You're supposed to do this thing over here to get there, but I did enough trick jumps and whatnot that I got there because I thought that's how you're supposed to do it, and it didn't go. Invisible wall, you can't do that. We didn't mean for you to do that. On the third island, it felt like there was almost... It wasn't technically invisible walls, but because of some of the things like the 2D platforms that would get in, or the 2D sections that would get in your way, it felt like there was stuff like that in the way from doing clever shit.
Yeah.
Which is precisely what I was enjoying.
And I didn't really run into that right away. For me, I kind of was just like, just going with the flow and seeing like, all right, well maybe like it like bounces out. But when I like play it over, even like when I go back at the end game and like play that stage, I can see how it can bother, and it honestly bothered me a bit also after playing it for a while. So it's not an island that I tend to return to, as cool as the environment may look. I think that they could have
I'm also, I didn't like how it looked, but I'm also the type of person that Fallout, for instance, I get kind of drained playing it because of all of the gray, brown, like duller colors of this is a wasteland. It makes perfect sense thematically, and I don't fault them for making that choice. It's just not what I favor. I favor the
like
Outer
Wilds then.
I don't think I played the Outer Wilds actually. Meaning to.
It's made by the same team of Fallout, isn't it?
Same team that made Fallout New Vegas. Not
yeah,
Fallout.
Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah, that game actually does have a better color scheme. So I understand what Magic is trying to say. For me, I'm not saying that the base color of the island, which we all know is just gray and white clouds and stuff, was appealing, but I think it's cool, like at night if you go to the volcano area, like the lighting and like the areas over there, it looks really nice.
True.
And then like during the day, if you go over to like the sulfur stone area, there's like some interesting
Yeah, that was nice.
environmental
That also had
things.
the color that I kind of was lacking. So
Yeah. So those were like the cool aspects that I wish was more flurry throughout the island, but I mean, yeah, they didn't
you
really
can
push.
also understand design direction. You don't want to just I'm throwing a bunch of these multicolored hot springs here and there randomly.
And it was also a tragedy that we did not go into the volcano. Like the volcano
Have a couple volcano sections.
so,
Yeah.
like it's so underused.
Hey, leave that for goddamn Tekken, all right?
Oh my gosh, Sonic isn't kicking someone into a volcano though. It's the difference. Yes.
Maybe Tails will finally have enough.
Gosh, I can't.
Hold on, Sonic. Why are we flying right over the volcano? Don't worry about it, Sonic.
Have a chili dog on me, boy, and drops him.
Hello.
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead and give my quick piece on this gameplay as a whole, because I forgot to go ahead and point out the formula for how the game works. To get to the Titan and to save your friends and all that stuff. Basically, what you have to do is you have to get the Chaos Emeralds to fight the Titans, because if you try to fight the Titans as you are, you're gonna get fucked up. We constantly see it happen to Sonic with each Titan that he tries to fight without the Chaos
I got
Emeralds.
this. Oh, I should have gotten all the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not doing that again.
So to get the Chaos Emeralds, there's 7 of them. You have to get keys, Vault keys. To get Vault keys, you have to go into cyberspace, and to get to cyberspace, you have to defeat mini bosses that are scattered throughout the island.
Or do other finding that you basically have to get memories, which are either defeating. Well, oh no, that unlocks. What's the memories for?
The memory tokens are for unlocking to help free your friend, and also to
and you get some of the emeralds that way as well.
yeah. There's some. That's one of the other ways that you can get the emeralds.
Gotcha.
And defeating the bosses gets chaos gears, but sometimes defeating the enemies can also drop them too. And you can also find some of the keys and chaos gears by completing puzzles, which Kadri mentioned earlier.
Or mini game, because there's one. There's a
Puzzles
single
and mini
game.
games, yeah. But yeah, we'll get to
Single
that.
minigame.
We'll get to that mini game in a second. That breaking the game mini game.
Oh man.
But depending on what Sonic game you started or ended with, you'll notice that the controls can vary. Sonic teams tried out different changes, different ways to control Sonic, but they never really stuck to their ideas that they came up with for each one to refine them. I feel they'd probably do it for 2 games, and then they jump to a whole nother different style, and they'll feel completely different.
We need to utilize a new gimmick to bring everybody on. What is it?
Exactly. But I have to say, without a doubt, I feel this is the most perfect middle ground that they've struck with how Sonic controls for me in years. Even going back to Sonic Adventure 2, this is the best that he's felt for me in terms of how I can control him in the air. Somehow
For me, I
found
agree, but from the standpoint of because the levels are generally bigger, it doesn't feel as
controlled.
the speed doesn't feel overwhelming. Like in some of the levels in Sonic 2, in Adventure 2, it was, I have all the speed that I have to not use because I need to do this platform, this platform, this platform.
Yeah. And at that point, you was probably that speed was probably mostly there just for like trying to get the best time if you wanted to like speed run it and stuff. But it wasn't really like one that you can really take advantage of and like enjoy to the fullest, I think. And somehow they found a way to do away with some of those issues that I've seen in those games.
One of the only things I would really recommend, if I could recommend to them, is they did a great job of, in the menus, here you can control like how much does your boost affect you, what is your top speed.
Yes.
Until you told me that, I did not know that existed.
Yeah.
So
those
two
gauges.
things, let me know ahead of time that exists. And second, I would say have multiple gears. Instead of it being there's one button to do either to boost or you're not boosting, there's one button to up your gear and one button to decrease your gear. So that you can go, this is at like, I just want 10% speed, I want 40% speed, I want 100% speed, or whatever the category you decide you want.
Yeah, like a button that you just tap and then it switches the gears of how Sonic like speeds up and such.
And some people might go, I want 0 and 100 and I just want one button press, that's it. And some people might go, I want 10 separate increments of 10% each time and I just basically hold it in order to ramp up to it. I think that would probably be best, but
it's hard to figure out how they would like incorporate
Can't
it
please everybody
because like there's only so many buttons on a controller, and this game actually uses a lot of the button inputs to do certain things with Sonic, especially if we're talking combat. But I wanted to give a quick example in terms of movement that made me like really feel like I had something going, because I messed with those gauges. Like Zeem said, there's a lot of different things you can affect: the turning, the boost speed, the initial boost speed, the overall speed that you get.
Beat the game before momentum. I knew that was a thing.
Like it's all there for you to mess with.
Yeah.
I remember I got to a part in the beginning after messing with the controls. I feared that when I hit a spring that I would sort of fly to a platform and just fall into the ocean below. But I was surprised when I actually like jumped off the platform and jumped off the spring and like flew onto a platform, that I didn't just run off the platform, which I've experienced in like a number of games. I was actually able to stop on the dime, and I was able to control my jumps also within that section without feeling like the momentum was gonna just drag me off to another section because I'm like still moving. But the only downside
I didn't
to
think
that,
about that, but that does seem. I didn't think about it because it is actually so natural and fluid compared to previous.
The only downside though with that is that I've noticed when I'm playing the game, Sonic loses all momentum when he jumps, and that's because he's magnetized to the ground. He stays at a certain speed when he jumps. Any speed that you initially had before that is gone. And the only way to really bypass that is to either be boosting and just dropping off of a ledge or something, or a box. And when he does that, he goes basically into a type of freestyle mode, trick mode, I guess. And like you can use that to like launch yourself in different directions and stuff.
Because in like Adventure 2, you'd actually use the homing attack to get at a boost of speed sometimes. So you could actually go a decent speed from a stop. Whereas this, it kills your momentum more so.
Like
momentum
is something that that has always been like incorporated into Sonic, how he plays. even back in the 2D games. If you was going a certain speed and then you jumped off something or like went down a ramp, well not a ramp but like a hill, and then you just shot up, you was gonna go high depending on how much speed you managed to maintain within the time of hitting that incline or ramp and such. So it was awkward to adjust to that. I understand why they did it, because like I think that's what helps with precise platforming in the game, at least in the overworld. But I do feel like, me personally, I was not really the biggest fan of the cyberspace, because cyberspace changes that completely. All those little controls that you can move left and right and stuff, they don't affect cyberspace. Cyberspace, they have it set to a specific way they want Sonic to control in that world. And like at times, Sonic can feel very stiff.
It felt like a different game.
Yeah.
It felt like a solid 2D game, but it wasn't the game I was just playing.
Exactly. Like you have to like adjust on the fly after like it playing like for probably 20 minutes or so in the overworld, and be like, all right, let me go ahead and do this. Wait, why does this feel this way? Why am I like trying to move right and then like he's like taking forever to actually turn left and right and stuff? Like it would, and then you don't have the drifting either, which is something that was like very helpful for making turns in Unleash. And I'm not gonna really say Colors, because Colors was like segmented, but like Generations, being able to drift helped out with those type of turns and stuff. And in this game, they didn't really have the drifting the same way. They kind of just took the drifting from Colors and put it in the game, and that they made it even more segmented, where you have to hit like speed bumpers in order to actually start drifting. So like,
yeah,
it was
like there were specific like environmental things that activated some of those abilities.
Exactly, and I didn't really enjoy that too much. Joe, I know I can't really speak to you on movement, let alone Kadri, because y'all didn't actually like play the game. Y'all only had what y'all could see, but I'm sure that there was segments y'all saw me playing, and didn't it seem like there was kind of like a ebb and flow to how Sonic would like move through the environments when like you're going through a railing section or like a little platform section? I don't know, like give me what are y'all inputs?
What does ebb and flow mean?
I was gonna say, describe what the fuck you mean by ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow would be like the tides. When the tide
I know. I'm saying, I know what ebb and flow is. I'm just saying, what does he mean with what he's doing, with what he just said?
Did it feel?
Did it seem like the movements were fluid?
Fluid, smooth. You know, like did it seem like that you'd have to like that I had like a lot going on that I had to do in order to get something done, or did it seem like there's like a type of flow to it? That
like some of the sections or puzzles were a bit more on the longer side.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was more you needed to do to actually finish it than just a straight shot. To where you actually had to be pretty consistent and keep up on what you like, paying attention to what you were doing. If that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, with you, I didn't really feel like you were thinking about it too much or struggling too much, but you are Sonic main, so that could have just, a lot of stuff just might have just come naturally to you. But it didn't seem like you had to put too much thought into doing any type of wild movement or anything like that.
It was more the
just from
thought
the
on,
outside
I need to
looking in.
shave another 10 seconds off to get that S rank, so how can I do this?
Yeah.
Is where the thought came in.
I think that's
I think what you might be thinking, Sean, or what you're kind of getting at, is in some of the Sonic games where it's like, I hit this bumper, which triggers like 15 jumps to basically get me to the next area, and it's almost like a cutscene. That's what some of those environmentals, like the drift, felt like. Of this is just a different style look to a loop or to a bumper jump. It's just gets me from this place to that place. I have a little bit of leeway in control, but it's basically taking control away from me because I'm not telling it to do the drift.
Almost automated in a way. That said, there are sections like later in the game where I feel like there's more thought process. Like if given multiple paths that you can take, and if you want to like go into like a higher section that has like some extra rings or like a medal or more medals that you can get, you have to like do a certain amount of homing attacks and wait for the cursor to lock on to certain enemies. The cursor.
You beat me to it, you bastard.
Or time your flips.
Time your flips. Like
do a flip.
There's also a thing that I felt they didn't use enough of that I didn't find out really until towards the end of the game, which was basically rail launching. And basically what it is that I said earlier how when you're boosting around and stuff, if you jump, you lose all the momentum that you had and stuff. When you're on a rail, that is not the case. So basically what you can do is you can be boosting on a rail and you can jump, and the speed that you have while you're on the rail during that boost, it stays active while you're in the air. So you can basically
almost like it's a rail gun.
Yeah, that's very ugly, but yes. I'm gonna stick to rail launching, but yeah, rail gun. There was certain parts of the game that
I was requested.
They tend to do that, and I really appreciate having that. There's also some other stuff that I found out later on. I haven't had the chance to really try it myself, but I've seen it online, and even Sega went ahead and pointed it out. I wish they put it out earlier. That there's a skill. I wonder if it's even actually a skill. I wonder if they just like put it out there on the spot. But there's a thing where you can basically home attack a spring, but before you actually hit the spring, when the lock on appears and you like push the button to do the homing attack, if you boost right after, you get a homing boost, and basically it can like speed you through the stage. And a lot of people actually use that for cyberspace to get even better times. So if I can, I'll probably like put up a video that shows it for those that haven't seen it yet. But it's actually pretty cool to know that there was actually a system like that embedded in it, or maybe it was a glitch. Who knows? And they just are claiming that it's actually something that they
decided. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Right. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not obviously a developer, but I feel like that's something that you would have told people towards the beginning.
I mean, given several of the mechanics that they didn't really mention in any sort of tutorial or whatnot, I think they might have just been going under the design philosophy of, here's the game, explore.
Find it out for yourself.
Yeah, just go.
So yeah, figure that shit out. They can't spell out everything for you.
True. And I can appreciate, I guess that's also what a lot of fans did to discover what they could possibly pull off with Sonic's momentum and past 3D games like Adventure and Adventure 2. That we mostly only spoke about the platforming. Can we like fly through the combat? I'll say real
combat,
quick.
I felt like was the deepest game version that I've ever experienced, and I thought it felt pretty good. I feel like they could improve it more.
Yes.
That they could refine different nuances and whatnot, but that's honestly always true. I mean, you look at, I enjoyed the Batman games and how they kind of had a little bit of counter block dodge. Oh, these enemies I have to do this type of trick to undo, and I liked that. But then they introduced things like, oh, here's that shield guy. God damn it, I hate those guys. And so you give more depth to Sonic in that same manner, you're going to run into, god damn it, that's the shield guy equivalent.
Yeah.
I just want to leave that one alone and go somewhere else. Fuck it.
Yeah, there's a number of enemies that actually just stops you in your tracks. With how you attack them. Like, I'm not even talking about just in terms of blocking. Like, there's certain enemies that you just like can try and home attack into, and then like when you do it, they have something around them that basically sends you flying back, and like you can't really move in that instance, leaving you open to attacks and such, or just like slows you down overall. And like when you're in the middle of combat, if you are locked onto an enemy and then you accidentally hit another enemy by accident, because the locking cursor goes onto someone else, it's gonna annoy you that you can't like necessarily focus on the enemy because the lock on is different from the homing attack lock on. Yeah.
The targeting in general is just not good.
Yeah. But
they did a decent job with like one-on-one fights.
Yes.
But if there's more than a couple enemies, it's rough.
And I think that's because they're encouraging you to use the Psyloop, which is one of the new abilities that Sonic has in this game, to affect a lot of people.
I really don't like how limited the trail is, though.
Yeah, it probably would have been an idea for them to extend how long the trail actually is, so you can like hit more enemies at once. Because like I get the idea, you use it and then you can fling enemies and certain enemies into the air, and then you can just use that time to attack them and bypass their defenses. They give you options on how to do deal with people that even block. Like, for example, one of the first enemies is the ninja. I did a fury of, punches and kicks and stuff. I was fine with that. And then I realized that he was blocking. I pushed, I was playing on PS5, by the way. I pushed R1, and Sonic, if you time it right, Sonic will like dodge behind them in slow motion, and then you can like continue to do attacks from behind right there, bypassing their blocking. And I felt like that was kind of underutilized in this game, because a lot of enemies, they can just do the little round shield above their head, and then like you can't like attack them, you have to wait. So there's a lot of waiting in a number of these fights, and not a lot of ways to bypass that waiting, or break through the defenses as there could have been. The skill tree was very small. I had a feeling it was gonna be. I mean, this is the first time we're even having a skill tree for Sonic, besides Unleash, if you want to count the speed meter and the strength meter. That was about it. Said what?
Said Werehog.
Werehog, yes. But I like that I've been waiting for Sonic to have like these things that I've seen in his quote unquote shonen mangas / comics and such, that they don't ever put in the games for some reason. Like the last thing that I saw that was even close to that they did for Sonic was in Sonic Adventure 2, when he had a thing called Sonic Wind. And since then, it's always just been the same homing attack. So I'm not saying that I feel the combat doesn't work for Sonic. I definitely just feel like they can do more of it.
More variants.
The projectile moves are cool. The counters are cool. But speaking on counters, man, please, Sega, no more of being able to hold the parry for as long as you want. That they simplified the game way too much with that. You can even hold there's a weird thing also where Sonic can like be in parry pose, and he could be in midair, and he'll just float in midair the whole time. He doesn't fall; he just hovers in the air while he's waiting to parry something. And like that goes to show that obviously there's certain things of this game that was clearly rushed a lot. The ideas are sound, and some of them are pulled off great, but some of them also needs to be refined so much more.
The passion.
I mean, Joe, you saw some of the moves I've done. I thought you should have seen all of them, honestly. But like, how do you feel about Sonic's combat?
I mean, the most extensive combat I've ever seen from Sonic, but that's not saying much because Sonic combat normally just ends up jump and
Homing attack. Yeah.
Jump and jump button again.
yeah.
I win.
Then A, yeah. So,
But do you feel they
Ball
can?
and spin.
Do you feel they can go somewhere with this?
I mean, I don't really know what else they can do. I mean,
What's
Is
something
it-
that you would want to see if Sonic is gonna like dive into more combat?
Sonic has always been a platform type guy. Like Crash Bandicoot's going to jump and he's going to spin. Like I know that, and I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
So I don't really look for combat from a Sonic game. I just don't. So I don't
Okay.
really have any
Game that
qualms
plays
about
off
that.
of its strengths well enough that it doesn't really need to develop anything more. Like it's got its baseline. If it wants to start playing around with combos and things like that, it can, but it shouldn't expect much, to be completely honest.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not expecting like the world. I'm not expecting no Devil May Cry or what's another game? Bayonetta, God of War. I'm not expecting to have something to that extent. I think what works with Sonic and combat is how you can make the combat. They can make the combat more flashy, but always try to keep that speed flow going, so that you can be cool and quick. Because that's the whole thing with Sonic. About Sonic, he's always about being cool and quick, and taking care of the problem in the best manner that fits his moveset as a whole. So, yeah. The Titan fights amplified the fuck out of that for me, because we have had Sonic games in the past where it's always just been like Sonic flies into the enemy and then just spin dashes
Avoids
into
being knocked back and does it again.
Yeah.
And again. And again.
And
I won. Cool.
Yeah, and I get it. He has the aura or the power aura around him and stuff and all that. But like, it's such a cop out for what Supersonic is actually capable of. And this game single-handedly brought that out. And I was so happy about it. If you did not see my reactions to all the Titan fights,
I don't want bind.
I don't
Wait,
know.
What?
Yeah. Like it's the most. That was truly like the most natural happiness I think I felt in a long time for a video game, and that's obviously connected to the fact that I'm such a big fan of the series. But like, it was just seeing it in motion, Sonic doing.
It
this,
felt like it was more of the shonen stuff that you were talking about,
Yes.
at least style-wise.
exactly like. Supersonic is supposed to be a form that like turns thoughts into power, like it almost like at that Green Lantern light level. Where-
Okay, now hold on, bro.
Look,
You can't make constructs.
he can though. That's the thing.
Do you not remember the Shadow Clone Jutsu that he did?
I'm not even talking about
those
that.
were real images.
I'm not even talking about that. Like, it's just
I know, I'm just giving Joe a clear example of
Yeah.
the
So
game.
you tell
did
me
it.
he can make a hammer. Like,
Yeah.
just for example, like, okay, I'm a master droid, I can make a droid.
why do you think Shadow can make spears?
I didn't know Shadow can make spears, motherfucker.
Wait, you don't remember Chaos Sphere?
Why didn't you think that he could make spears? I remember being able to make spears. I remember the gun. That was a physical gun.
All right.
Yeah.
That was his game
sorry.
because reasons.
Sorry, I should have double check if you knew about that. But yes,
Pay us for that.
like chaos energy is supposed to be you can basically use it for almost anything, essentially, and it's combining thoughts into power. That's why you see a lot of the shit that Sonic is doing, making his fists even huger and stuff, and the shadow clones and the binding ketos and stuff and all that crazy shit.
By the way.
It's stuff that I've been waiting to see in Sonic. And Sega, please don't go back. Don't go. It's too late. You set the bar that you could do this.
Don't do this to us.
Yeah, you can't go back. It's too late. I won't allow you. As the Nintendo representative.
Hey, calm down.
I refuse to let y'all go back now that I know that you actually can do this. It's one thing if it's like a 2D side-scrolling game. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah, like I honestly think keep doing the 2D Sonic games. Maybe sprinkle a little bit into the 3Ds as like a side thing. So like a mini game, like instead of say fishing, maybe do that.
Yeah.
And then, but you don't have to do this to complete the game. Whereas in this one, you had to do the 2D missions to complete the game.
And just to build off of what you said there, for those that find the formula for the game to be a bit too it doesn't fit what you want, and you want to like go about it a different way, there is a section where you speak to an old character called Big the cat, and you can fish with him, and he basically lets you break the game. He lets you buy stuff to power yourself up. He lets you buy stuff to bypass going to cyberspace stages. He lets you buy the stuff to go to cyberspace stages. He lets you buy the keys to get to the Chaos Emerald vaults. He's literally there for you to take advantage of whatever you feel is a collectible that you don't feel like necessarily.
Like, it is a
farming.
pain in the ass to find Cocos. Therefore, to level up my character, I am going to go fishing for 20 minutes, and that'll be all I need. Or I really hate cyberspace, so I'm going to go fishing to collect the stuff I need for the emeralds, that type of thing.
That seems boring.
It does, right? And that's like a slight problem I have. I didn't really take advantage of Big until like the end of the game, where I was just trying to platinum it and make Sonic get to 99 on everything, because I couldn't find any more Coco at that point. And I think they pretty much had it set where you can use it at the end to like finish up the 99.
Max out, yeah.
But
I think you could only get so many per island until you unlocked the final island, then it's like, okay, now you can go nuts, do whatever.
yeah. So like if I could say anything, if they brought that back again, I feel like they need to balance it out a little more. Maybe make more conditions to get some of that type of stuff.
See,
Or
I actually have the opposite opinion. I think it's a great idea to have you're struggling with this portion of the game, or you just flat out don't like this portion of the game. Here's your air quote cheat code to bypass it. Do this activity for a little bit and you'll be fine. But you kind of need to look at it as this is like a cheat code.
Yeah, it's like at that point, like, what's the point of playing the game?
But that's true of anything that has cheat codes.
I mean,
That's why generally people.
I mean, I've had Lucky forever, but you may not have Lucky yet.
I feel like there's like a middle ground that has to be struck with it. Like so I understand what you're saying, Zemus. I guess I'm trying to look at it as like, at first I was thinking maybe they can like put that for like normal and easy, and then for hard they don't like have it as for.
I could see that.
But at the same time, there are a lot of people in the Sonic fan base that likes to speedrun games, and they still want the challenge, but they don't want to be like babied all the way through as well. So maybe maybe like set limiters for certain things based off the difficulty that you put it on.
Some limiters, because I like I said, I did some of the fishing to get levels, and on each island I could only fish so much that it would be like, you can't buy any more cocos, continue on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only have my experience. Well, actually, maybe I did run into that on Chaos Island. I'm not sure. No, I think I remember what it was. I think when I got to Aronos Island, when I was starting to max out stuff, I went back to the other islands to fish, and I was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and start buying some stuff. And then I started buying, and then I reached the limit. And I was like, oh, there's a limit here? And then I went to the second island, and I did the same thing, and then I got to the limit there. And then I guess I realized there's a limitation
if you'd gone
for those
to the last island, you would have had the biggest limit, and you would have been fine. Yeah.
I don't think the last island even has a limit, because like even when you max everything out, you can still buy cocoa and go and
1 million cocoa. Here you go. Well, I appreciate you bringing them here, even though I have nothing left to offer you. Thank you.
Exactly. There's actually a quote like that from the elder.
From the elder.
Coco and the hermit Coco. Those are the people that actually power you up throughout the island. And he basically is like, I know I would have helped you out here, but if you wouldn't mind, could you still, if you see them out there, like grab them just to help me out a bit and stuff? And basically Sonic's like, I mean, sure, I guess. I'm already at max, but I don't mind doing it for
just to help out.
And stuff. But, so, that's pretty much all of Sonic Frontiers that I can really point out. I will go ahead and say real quick, the music.
Time out.
What?
You're not going to talk about the ending?
Yeah. The pacing for that is...
The ending segment, you're not going to talk about that?
You're right.
Are we gonna
do you want to do the music first, or do you want to do that?
We'll do the Genshin Impact after. So by the fourth island, Sonic team, the Sonic group gathers together, and basically they're saved supposedly, but like Sonic is corrupted because the whole time that he's saving them, he's gaining corruption. It's probably something important I should have said at the beginning, honestly. Every time that Sonic saved one of his friends, he received corruption from cyberspace.
Basically, what was tormenting them kind of combines into him, more or less.
Yeah, to the point where he actually just like is devoid of all thought and basically in a helpless state.
Comatose, yeah.
And apparently Tails, Knuckles, Amy, they're like, oh, we can't let it end like this, and they're like, we'll just take the corruption back into us, and that should save Sonic. That's basically what they're like saying to do, and all they do is just hold their hands around Sonic, and then like they just
power of friendship
disappear.
Yeah, that's it.
The animation and everything for that was just really subpar, and I felt they could have did a little more.
All of it. The whole pacing for that fourth island, it was just a story island, and not only did the story not make great amount of sense because it felt rushed, but it felt like it was building up to this big story reveal, and there weren't really any climaxes in the game other than like the Titan fights themselves. So it felt like this was the build up to this is gonna be the final boss fight.
Yeah.
So for me, it gave me a kind of, oh, these pillars are here. I have to climb these. I have to do this and beat the final boss. Let's finish the game. I'm in finish the game mode now. That's what you triggered me. And then when it's, oh, well, now here's a whole nother island. Go do it. What? That doesn't feel right. Like the island should have been post-game content type of thing.
Yeah.
You should have given me the boss fight now. I got the credits to roll. And hey, by the way, here's another island for you to explore. It's like the other 3, but amped up to 11 on difficulty and nuance and all of that.
Yeah. I think that would have been
once
ideal.
you complete it, here's your secret ending after the fact.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you may have noticed I was mentioning the first, second, and third Titans being dope fights, but I'm not talking about the other ones. All right, so the fourth Titan is disappointing because it's basically just Giganto with a gun. And you would think that maybe they'd like just have some like widespread fighting going on, because like he basically has like a sniper rifle from the looks of it. Some type of rifle he has. And the whole time he barely uses it and just has these like type of diamond things that are shooting out and stuff. It's very.
He basically has like drones of what was that? Was it Epion that did that in Gundam 1? One of the Gundams is basically just, I'm using drones to shoot at you. I'm not bothering to do anything. That's what the fight was. Really.
Yeah.
And there wasn't honestly a lot of feedback on this is how you're supposed to approach it, like the other fights did.
Yeah.
So not only did you feel a little bit lost on the fight, it didn't feel as satisfying when you kind of effectively stumbled onto this is what I'm supposed to do.
Like it's
combine that with, okay, well I did that. That was kind of subpar. Oh shit, the big bad's coming down. We're gonna fight. This is gonna be an epic boss fight finale, because that one was kind of subpar, right? But it was setting up this one, right? Bullet hell. What?
And it's the moon. A moon. A planet. They say it's a planet. It looks like a moon. I couldn't even fathom what I was doing at first, that I died immediately. Like I was just like, what? No, did I do something wrong? No. So this is the game. This is the final boss fight.
Background that didn't play the game. There have been several mini game stages where you're effectively hacking into a computer with Tails' help or direction or whatnot initially, and you're playing a bullet hell. You've got your little ship. You've got light and dark bullets. And you have to use the correct color to take down whatever enemy you're fighting. That's the final boss, just amped up. And I don't know about you, but I didn't buy a Sonic game to play a bullet hell. Just like I wouldn't buy a Star Wars game to say play DDR against Darth Vader.
But I wouldn't. I understand that they were trying to like do something a little different, but it seems so broken from what they've been presenting us this whole time, to make the final boss fight the least, which is crazy because usually that's like the most hypest moments in all Sonic games, the final boss fight, like because that's when you finally get Super Sonic usually. And
that was part of the reason why we were so hyped about the Super Sonic fights prior, because we're like, this is the first fight for the island. Shit. Oh, and it got better in the second one, in the third one, and then it's like, wait, okay, well, they probably just kind of weakened this hype level for the fourth one, because the final boss is going to be that much more, and it's like, bullet hell? And I finally beat it, and I'm going, okay, well, at least they're going to give me a end-all be-all Sonic fight after this. Congratulations, you win. What?
Yeah, it shattered me like glass.
Shatter me like glass.
Like I just don't. I did a little more research on it, and basically, the end appears different for Sonic and Sage. It doesn't look the same way as it does for the players playing it, which I feel is a very dumb explanation and cop out. But jumping a little further ahead, they're apparently doing something a little different with the DLC that's coming out. That's supposed to be applying something. Like there's a whole bunch of rumors going around that they're probably gonna like do something to like help amplify the severity of that boss fight for Sonic and others. But overall, it was not something that I was looking forward to. I do like that the whole time you're fighting, it is talking shit to you, like consistently. Like I felt like I was facing Joe the whole time during that segment. I'm just shooting the hell out of it.
The lines got so repetitive though with how many times I died. I don't know about you.
I only died twice.
Pretty repetitive with Joe when he starts to talk.
Wow, I died a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, because y'all die a lot.
I did.
I died like I died 3 times actually. Sorry.
He died 17.
But like each time that I did it, like I got to hear more of what they were saying and stuff, the moon thing, and I guess that kind of helped it out. But overall, I was still like disappointed that I was playing a bullet hell as the final Supersonic boss fight. Like the last game that I played that I did not feel some type of way where something like that happened was Nier Automata. And that was because there was such a deeper meaning behind that segment. I can't really like dive that deep into at the moment, but it was like there was like reason behind it, and there was like a cool thing at the end where basically you can like give up your save file to help other people finish the fight, because they like your save file will count as an extra life for others and stuff. Like they integrated it very well into the fight.
That sounds stupid to me.
You'd have to look it up, yo.
Give up my save file? That sounds stupid to me.
It's
as in the save file is no longer there.
Yes, you have the choice.
As in, after I beat the game, the save file's no longer there. If I want to do it, I have to start over a new game, not a new game plus.
Yes.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, you wouldn't really fully understand unless you like looked into it, which you're not.
Joe. You're
But
not part of the pool.
but I'm
I'm sure there's a story significance to it, but the real world significance is no.
Understood. You're free to have that thought process.
You're free to have your own opinion, regardless of how wrong that opinion is.
No, it is not necessarily wrong.
That's what he said. Regardless of how wrong that opinion is.
Let me wrap this.
And this is why I talk shit, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's not why, but
It's 1,000% why.
1,000% not.
I gotta defend myself
Wrapping it
from
up.
your attacks.
Wrapping it up for the most part on this game. I enjoyed the hell out of the music. I wasn't surprised about that. Sonic usually 90% of the time always has great music, so
Absolute bangers.
there was nothing to really worry about. I'm not really, maybe I don't realize it, but I never really listened to a lot of EDM like that. But this was actually pretty good in my opinion for the cyberspace stages. The overworld tracks were great. They fit the melancholy feel of the game as you're like playing through it. I liked that they had a lot of at first I was telling the others that I felt like it was like a it adapts to the segments. But I think the real thing that I meant to say was that
insists on itself.
No, that it's progressive. Like each Chaos Emerald you get, the track actually changes and adds like some extra instruments or flips up the tempo and such for what's going on in the game and like how serious the moment is. And that's like one of my favorite things of the overall music, honestly, in my opinion, that I don't think has ever been in any Sonic game, really. I tend to play the 6 movement for Ares Island the most because I like how the maracas and the little bongo drums in the background play off of the Arabian Nights like flow of the instruments in the desert. And if I was to rank the Titan boss fight songs, just to put it out there, for me it's Break Through It All, Undefeatable, Find Your Flame, and then I'm Here is last. Zemus?
I mean, I didn't really think enough to rank the music, but generally, yeah, the music was, at worst, I thought the music was still solid, and I didn't feel like it had as many really good tracks as, like, Adventure 2, but definitely had some that I like listening to. Biggest thing, the pacing and the polish, like I mentioned before, need to be improved. I think the 2D levels need to be more of a side activity as opposed to a main line thing that you have to do. And the other improvement I would really focus on is give me back my Chao Garden.
Gosh.
I'm just saying.
We might get that. It might be honestly a combination now that there seems to be some connections between the Lucky Charm Cocos and the Chao. But yeah, I think having a Chao Garden battle would be a great idea.
One thing. So the final boss fight really pissed me off when the tip that they give, like after you die, one of the tips was check the previous tips for hints on how to fight this. It's like, well, you don't let me access those previous tips without actually like giving up completely and having to redo everything.
Yeah.
It's like, we already told you how to beat this damn thing. You weren't listening.
The tips they had a thing set where you can like make it where you're not seeing certain tips all the time, but majority of the notification tips were constantly always popping up no matter what, and it was definitely a pace breaker at a lot of times with that. I think they even screwed up with what's it called again? The mini boss fights. That the name popping up every single time you come across one, they kind of need to like kind of patch that out, or like just not do that for the future games, because we already know what you are.
We already did the introduction. I don't need to know Luigi has joined the fight the 15th time.
Yeah, like the amount of times that Squid has like friggin' stared me down.
Especially when it's like, I'm just gonna go around it. I wasn't planning on fighting.
Yeah,
I've already beat you.
Like that's something that definitely needs to be fixed up for the future game. I think this formula as a whole is something that can work, and I want them to stick to it. Stop backing out on ideas after like 2 games. No, like it's okay to incorporate new ideas, but like you don't need to like banish something that you had before and then just start over brand new with something different and make the fan base have to adjust to it because that's what's separated, I think, a majority of the fan base, because they keep doing that. It's one thing they did it for the 3D. I kind of understand that because it's a whole nother Z-axis that they're working with and stuff. But if we're talking like the 3D games in general, we should not have so many different variant styles of playing Sonic like we do, when Mario has managed to stick to its same formula and like probably just innovated like once, and their innovation didn't even really deter that many people because it was still the same gameplay style. So I really hope that they stick to this. Simple as that. Magic, any final words to say?
Nope, not really. I'm glad that this Sonic game was not trash. Looked good as a spectator sport. Haven't played it, but like I say, you just looking at it, you can tell it's way better than what they had been putting out. So always good when Sonic's good.
And Kadra?
It's always good when Sonic's good.
That is a fair response. Saying exactly what I want to hear, right?
Yep.
All right. So that was it for the Sonic Frontiers review.